Hi, this is Andrea, and I'm going to be doing a vlog series on the blog called Heaven's Journey to Life. Now, I'm going to start at day 1, and I'm going to first, before doing this recording, I read the blog for myself and I look at the points discussed within the blog, and then I look at how within my life I have had the experiences that were discussed within this specific blog. Now, day 1 deals with who I am as money. And the points that I've found very interesting and that I can definitely relate to in that blog are the points in relation to, which we all experience, in relation to money, is if you look at it for yourself, who do we become in relation to money? If you look at, and this I experienced for myself, if I look at how I grew up as a young person, getting to know who I'm supposed to be in this world, what this world is about, what is life, according to what other adults were telling me, what my peers were telling me, what my education system was teaching me, what I was understanding was that life is about going out there and getting as much as you can from life, attaining as much as you can, and through that attaining personal joy, fulfillment, and growth, personal growth. To do that, however, one requires money. And this I realized for myself, as a young person, you're told about this, but you don't actually understand what this means, what it means to be an adult, until you leave school, and you maybe get a secondary education, and then you go out there and you have to work. You have to rent a room or an apartment. You have to perhaps rent a car or some form of transportation that you have to pay for. Your groceries. Now you're on your own, or your parents might start sort of expecting of you to rely on yourself and your own form of income, so they might start paying less and you have to start paying for more. And that's when you start realizing the extent to which one's life is determined according to this piece of paper that you have. And if one look at how this shapes who you become within yourself, one will find a very interesting point, such as I found for myself, was that you will start questioning immediately, okay, now I'm an adult, I have to survive on my own. So one's first priority always becomes about, I have to find a work, or I have to finish some form of a qualification so that I can get a specific job, and the better job I get, the more money I will make, and the more things I will be able to buy for myself. And if one observes one's own life, as my life experience, especially when you earn sort of a low income, your entire life, your days are consumed by and taken up by the drive to do the work that needs to get done so that I can get this little salary with which I can then go out and buy the basic things that I require to stay alive, to pay my rent, to buy my groceries, and the other basic things that I require. Therefore, my entire focus, one could say, my presence, my beingness during the day existed as my work. On the weekends, my beingness became a reaction to what I had to do with my life to be able to survive. So for different people, it'll be different experiences. But for me, for example, I went through a phase where I wanted to use all my money to party and drink. And if I look back into myself, into my thought processes, it was very much about, oh well, this is it, this is all I've got, I'm going to party and enjoy my friends and enjoy my life, and I'm going to get drunk every weekend, and I'm just going to have an absolute blast because screw the system. The system doesn't care about me, and everybody has to fight for our survival, and us working class people will stick together. So all of us friends would get together and we'd, get my friend's beat up little car and we'd go off and we'd have an absolute party. For different people, obviously, these experiences are different. But if one look inside yourself, you will notice that life basically becomes about working and then having an off time that is yours, that is very short. I experienced it as a very short period of time. And during the week, I had to access this personality construct, this energy that I had to conjure up, you could say, inside myself, to be this person that had to go from Monday to Friday or to Saturday to work to be able to survive. And I had to create this, you could say, a mask, a personality which would be presented to my employers, to the system, as a mask to sell myself, to make sure that I can keep my job. And in the end, you then create all these multiple personalities to survive in the realm of money. And then one realizes, like for myself, I realized, damn, I don't want to live on a basic wage for the rest of my life. So let me go out and meet a guy who might be able to provide for me. So I created this persona of the attractive, sexy young girl, and I would go out to nightclubs and I would talk to guys and I would try and meet a guy. And my lifestyle became about then surrounding myself with friends who were of middle class, who had a middle class income, and who already had houses or apartments and cars, because that way, if I could hang out with them, I already felt like I was part of a group of people who were fun and they were doing well in life and they were intelligent and so forth. So my personality adapted itself throughout my life, not having anything actually to do with me, with an authentic look at life and seeing, here I am, I'm a physical being, I'm moving forward and I'm going to embrace life and I'm going to live life. It became about adapting myself within the work environment to be a better functional personality, and within my social circles and romantic and relationship circles, adapting myself to try and climb the ladder, to be better and appear better and attract better people to me, because that was equated once again with money. Because if I could hang out with people that were of a better class than what I came from, then that'll already make me feel better about myself, and that's money. So if you look at energy experiences and how the internal experience works as energy, where one changes your energy from, for example, one moment having the energy of, oh man, I'm not good enough, I'm like nothing, I don't have a proper job, I don't have an education, and doing things, whether it's dressing or getting an education or hanging out with a group of friends or trying to get in with a group of friends, look at what happens to one's energy. It changes. You now feel more important. You feel a little bit more intelligent. You feel classier. And that is money. That's the money energy, the internal money energy, because that's your value system as energy has just gone up. And unfortunately, reading this blog, it allowed me to see that this is really, within my life, what I had become. I had become an energy point that was quite low and saw myself as nothing. And for a while I was a student, and then I was a little bit like a hippie. And then I upped my energy through getting a better education, through, increasing the status of my friendship group. And through that, allowed myself to up my value, to up my monetary value system of myself, which was raising my energy through thinking, through believing better things about myself. And in the end, one can then equate that to, that's exactly what's happening in the world system, where the world system functions according to money, and money allows you to buy certain things, and that then allows you to, go up in the ranks of the status within society. So energy functions as the monetary system, where you can buy your status. And internally, what is happening inside oneself is, as you have more money in the system, or you hang out around money, you go into that energy experience of, I am more, I feel better, I feel good. Because what does money essentially do? For all of us, money creates a sense of security, safety. You can buy whatever you want. There's no fear of not having. There is an automatic, look at what you have when you know, a lot of us have gone through a phase when we were younger where we went through the phase of eating baked beans on toast because we were either earning no money or minimal money, like a student's life. And that, if you remember for yourself, that kind of constant pressure of not having enough money, of looking at the people in the mall who are eating the nice food at the restaurants, and you're like, oh man, I would never be able to afford that. That sense of insecurity, of not having. And then with that, if you do that for years and years and years, like I did, eventually it creates such a fear of money, fear of survival, because now you're not just in your student phase or your hippie spiritual phase where you're like hanging out, you know, talking about spiritual stuff with cool spiritual people, and you're, you know, like contemplating life, and you're actually now getting to a point for many people where you go, okay, I'd like to actually provide for myself now, and you're unable to do that because the system doesn't allow people to do that. And that actually takes one into such an anxiety point, as I experienced. Eventually, in the end, I was in constant fear of not being able to pay my bills, not being able to buy food for myself, and it had all kinds of other consequences where I placed myself in a compromising relationship where a guy paid for everything, but it was a physically abusive relationship, so that was the compromise point. He could, you know, do whatever physically he wanted, to take his bad moods out on me, and I would keep quiet because he paid the bills. And this is just an example of the basic point of compromising ourselves. So that becomes eventually, that energy point becomes the point of accepting ourselves as merely a commodity within the system, where that energy point I spoke of before, where inside oneself you create layers and layers of personalities and energies, where you're trying to adapt yourself constantly to the system to try and fit into this world that values you according to what money you have. There is no real living, there is no real choice for people, there is no real free will, because if we were all given equal money from birth, and remember here I'm not referring to the importance of money, I'm referring to the money acting as a momentary or an interim point to sort of, so that we can all get over the whole money point that's been developed since the advent, or even before that, of capitalism. I'm now just referring to an interim system of establishing an equal money system where everybody, the emphasis is not about money, the emphasis is on, first of all, allowing all to have our basic needs met, because we are born equally into this physical reality. The physical resources were here firstly for all physical life equally. Therefore, first of all, nobody has the right to decide who gets access to resources and who doesn't. So if we were to place ourselves in that situation, then you would actually see, if there's no fear of money, fear of not having money, that is directing every person to wake up Monday morning, put on their personality face, and access that energy point of, come on, I can do it, just another few years and then I'll pay off my bond. Okay, I'm never going to pay off my student loan because I got totally ripped off, but never mind, you have to go to work. Then we would see all beings. I mean, if you've ever looked at somebody who was really content and satisfied, they had enough money they did the job they enjoyed, and then they could travel, and they lived in a comfortable house, they drove a car, they went to a grocery store that sold good quality food, and they bought their groceries, and they came home, and the kids were clean and clean clothing, and had their, array of education material that they could educate themselves effectively, and reading material, and the family spent time together, or whatever. And you look at this person in the system and you go, oh, and we all have that yearning or even jealousy or whatever. But imagine if we could all have that. We all absolutely crave to have that life. Especially if you're at the bottom end. Especially if one is the person who is sitting in the gutter eating mud. Then you absolutely crave that lifestyle. Obviously, most people who are in that lifestyle are craving to have helicopters and yachts and whatever. But I'm talking about a standard that is livable and doable with regards to resources for everybody. Imagine if that was possible. If you could, within your own life experience, remove the fear and everything each one of us had to become just to survive in the system. And that became our lives. That became who we are from Monday to Friday or Saturday. And then Saturday and Sunday, you booze or you drug or you party with your mates. Just so that you can have an inkling of an idea of what it's like to live. But you're again living a reaction to what you really know is going on, which is that we're all working for the corporations and they're making multi-billions, and the working drones at the bottom are, whilst still living in fear. I mean, everything is getting more expensive and everybody is having to compromise themselves more and more because it's becoming a problem in the world. And you know, the flip side of the coin, if you look at, one could say, yeah, you know, that's great if we could all have that. Another point to consider, which I read in this blog, is that what happened if money is taken away at this point in time? That'll show the true nature of who everybody has become, because actually a lot of people that I speak to about the point of equality, equal money system, basic rights for all, go into a reaction point where they actually go, no, you will not take my money away. Yeah, equality is cool, it's great, I really feel bad for those people that are starving and everything, but don't you touch my money. Because we've become so programmed, we've brainwashed ourselves completely into believing that this energy system that I am, of having, not having, more, less, is who we are. So remove the monetary value of a person and say to the person, but we'll all get to live here equally in the physical reality. And the person goes, what? I want to be able to buy Prada shoes, and look at the next girl that doesn't have Prada shoes and access that energy of, I'm so cool, you're not cool. And unfortunately, your average person who completely resists the point of everybody has the same thing, go into that energy point of, I like the energy of knowing that I'm better than that pauper that can't buy the Prada shoes. And that's the self-honesty actually of what the human has become. And that's like a very cool testing point, and I've asked myself that if everybody had the same access to good quality homes, cars, education, food, that energy game of better, less than, good, bad, fat, ugly would be gone. Who would we be then on this planet? Then we'd have to redefine what it means to live, because now we're not abusing each other anymore for energy. We are living. We're getting on with physical reality, living, expressing myself here in my body. So that's a very interesting point that was mentioned there that I wanted to share. Thank you very much.